Kuzangpola and warm greetings to everyone joining us. Welcome to this special bulletin Year in Review, where we reflect on the moments that defined Bhutan in the past year.
From historic milestones and royal diplomacy to economic reforms, spiritual gatherings, national resilience, and bold new beginnings, 2025 was a year that shaped Bhutan's present and set the course for its future.
Join us as we revisit the events, the voices, and the vision that made the Wood Female Snake Year truly significant. "2025 was a profound reflection for Bhutan, a remarkable year when the nation came together to celebrate three remarkable lives, each turning 70, each embodying leadership, wisdom, and service in their own unique way."
From the vision of a great monarch and the spiritual guidance of a revered Gelephu and the compassion of a Queen Mother, these milestones became the year's defining moments.
In 2025, thousands gathered at Gelephu not merely to mark a birthday, but to honor a legacy built on humility, courage, and lifelong service. In a moment that resonated deeply across the country, His Majesty the King paid tribute to His Majesty the Fourth Duke Gelephu through prostration, symbolizing reverence, humility, and the passing of values from one generation of leadership to the next. His Majesty reflected on 12 profound lessons learned from His Majesty the Fourth Duke Gelephu on leadership, compassion, and placing the people above all else. Adding a historic significance to the occasion, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the celebrations as the guest of honor, a moment that stood out as one of the year's most notable diplomatic highlights. Prime Minister Modi highlighted the enduring friendship between Bhutan and India, noting that the foundations of cooperation, particularly in hydropower and development, were laid under His Majesty the Fourth Duke Gelephu's leadership and continue to grow under His Majesty the King's vision. The moment reinforced the depth of ties between the two nations, rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and people-to-people bonds. "2025 also marked the 70th birthday of His Holiness the Gelephu Tiku Jimichada, nearly 3 decades into his service as Bhutan's longest-serving chief abbot. Since the enthronement in 1996, His Holiness has guided the nation with spiritual clarity and compassion, shaping a form of leadership that speaks directly to the lives of ordinary Bhutanese. From discontinuing compulsory offerings during cremation rites to promoting compassion through restrictions on meat and alcohol consumption, His Holiness brought spiritual practice closer to everyday realities. Through Milam Chenmo, oral transmissions, and outreach across the country, His Holiness ensured that religion remained inclusive, humane, and relevant, touching lives far beyond monastery walls. The year also celebrated the 70th birthday of Her Majesty Queen Mother Doji Wangmo Wanchu, a life defined by service and compassion. As the founding president of the Tharayana Foundation, Her Majesty's work has transformed the lives of more than 300,000 Bhutanese across remote and rural communities. Through Tharayana, Her Majesty's philosophy of service continues to walk alongside the people, quietly, steadily, and with deep compassion. As Bhutan looks back at 2025, these celebrations were more than milestones. They were reminders of the values that define the nation and the legacy that continues to guide Bhutan toward a future rooted in unity, well-being, and service. Pupke for BBS News.
The wood female snake year also unfolded as a defining period for Bhutan's shared vision, the Gelephu Mindfulness City. Throughout 2025, the GMC moved steadily from vision to reality through infrastructure, public participation, religious grounding, and shared ownership.
The wood female snake year marked a decisive turning point for Bhutan's southern frontier when vision moved from drawing boards to the ground and from the ground to the skies. Early in the year, Bjark Engel's group, the master planners of the Gelephu Mindfulness City, unveiled the design of the Gelephu International Airport, an airport imagined not merely as infrastructure but as a philosophy. Set amid forests, rivers, and mountains, the design blends traditional Bhutanese craftsmanship with contemporary architecture using locally sourced timber and motifs rooted in culture. It was a statement that even as Bhutan opens to the world, it does so on its own terms. But 2025 was not just about plans, it was about commitment. Construction of the airport began with a deeply symbolic Shabdo ceremony led by His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gelsun, joined by over 1,000 Desops and Gelsops. It was a powerful reminder that nation building in Bhutan is not only driven by machines and capital, but by service, merit, and collective purpose. While the new airport is set to open in 2029, Bhutan's future had already begun its journey by the end of 2025. The first international flight departed from Gelephu on 8 December, officially opening the country's southern gateway to regional aviation. The inaugural Gelephu-Kolkata service signaled more than connectivity. It announced Gelephu's arrival as a new center for trade, tourism, and global engagement. For the Gelephu Mindfulness City, the airport is its first major foundation linking vision to viability. For Bhutan, it represents a careful but confident step outward, expanding economic horizons while staying anchored in values of sustainability, mindfulness, and national identity. As the vision for the airport began taking shape, another milestone followed, one that invited the people of Bhutan to become more than observers of this transformation. Beyond infrastructure and connectivity, the GMC's vision opened a new chapter in nation building where Bhutanese, both at home and abroad, could invest directly in the future unfolding at Gelephu through the GMC Nation Building Bond. The bond was designed to fund the construction of the Gelephu International Airport, offering a 10% tax-free annual return. It combined financial incentive with a deeper sense of shared responsibility. The response was swift and overwhelming. By the time subscriptions closed in June, the bond had raised more than 3 billion yutam, surpassing its original target and drawing participation from more than 35,000 Bhutanese. More than a fundraising success, the bond reflected confidence in the GMC vision and a collective willingness to invest not just money, but trust, belief, and shared ownership in the nation's future. In days to come, besides bonds and belief, the vision continued to be carried forward by hands, sweat, and service. From across the country, thousands of volunteers traveled to the GMC to offer Shabdo, answering the call to build not just infrastructure, but collective ownership. Inspired by their majesties working on site, ordinary citizens stepped forward, enduring heat and long hours not as workers but as participants in a national endeavor. Even ministers, diplomats, and international partners joined the effort, reinforcing the idea that GMC is not merely a project but a shared destiny. Together with the GMC bond, these acts of service revealed a deeper truth of 2025, that nation building in Bhutan moved beyond money and machinery, rooted instead in unity, purpose, and shared responsibility. As the GMC took shape in structures and spirit, 2025 also bore quiet witness to a deeper truth that spirituality remains central to the city's evolving vision. His Majesty the King granted sacred royal edicts for a growing number of spiritual projects under the GMC. The initial royal edicts were granted to 8 major spiritual initiatives, including the Gelephu Zone, multiple chötes, research and retreat centers, and sacred sites dedicated to meditation, learning, and protection. Construction also began on 2 royal projects, the Gelephu Chöte and the Guru Nangsi Zulnen Lhaga, marking the first physical expressions of the spiritual vision. Later in the year, His Majesty approved 3 additional projects, expanding the spiritual landscape of the GMC. Such initiatives reflect a deliberate choice that even as the GMC looks outward as a global city, it remains firmly rooted in Bhutan's spiritual heritage. It exemplifies how development, mindfulness, and faith can coexist. While reaffirming spirituality at the heart of the GMC vision, last year also underscored another essential foundation: strong leadership and human capital. Gautam Adani, chairman of the Adani Group, was named a founding member of GMC, reflecting the GMC's intent to draw on experienced global leadership aligned with Bhutan's values. With decades of experience in large-scale infrastructure, renewable energy and sustainable development, the GMC Authority described Adani's involvement as resonating with Bhutan's commitment to environmental stewardship. Likewise, a major leadership transition marked an important moment for the project, with the appointment of 2 new co-chief executive officers to guide GMC forward. Lee Seo-hyang, the founding CEO of Changi Airport Group, and Pang Yi-ian, a long-time GMC board member with extensive global infrastructure experience, took on the responsibility of translating His Majesty the King's vision into long-term impact. Beyond leadership, 2025 also saw a clear focus on developing Bhutanese talent. The GMC Authority launched an open recruitment drive inviting Bhutanese professionals both within the country and abroad to be part of the city's formative phase. These developments signaled an important shift in 2025 that the GMC is also investing in people. They ensured that the city's future is shaped not only by vision but by capable hands and committed minds. Throughout 2025, the GMC unfolded through many forms: spiritual, social, institutional, and physical. And it was His Majesty's address during the 118th National Day that brought these threads together, and a year of action, participation, and purpose converged into a single national narrative. His Majesty shared that when the world asks about GMC, His Majesty presents it as a shared vision grounded in integrity, mindfulness, and the well-being of both present and future generations. A city that Bhutan offers not only to itself but to humanity. The royal address reaffirmed spirituality as the GMC's core. His Majesty described GMC as the world's first Buddhist city where purpose is valued as deeply as progress. His Majesty also addressed ownership, announcing that the land of GMC will remain the collective property of the Bhutanese people, structured as shares, ensuring that no one is left behind as the city grows. The commitment of sovereign Bitcoin reserves further underscored a long-term investment made not for markets but for the people and the nation's youth.
Bitcoin semichi ani guchuchi bala tingadi garagi semka tokpaimbe mamgi haime ko nyanka chese majib taase tama rokha taunse laluchigin ani Bitcoin semiti nga kora makolase kachina muose ngalape me ani di ngachi chotengo gyakap chungula kasugi roal haktibe nosom tangobe Bitcoin di ta gensh tama kesa keru kemi nyanka nga baung te ani lejim yasisa Bitcoin di lashu misigi dote mangulbe padatsu matang damdibere jabi ti kachungse ta tari Bitcoin yuminale dungta chitendibe over 10,000 BTCs. We're looking at around $1 billion. The $1 billion di chigi. Ani dote di ma GMC ki sachana bechuni sa.
Equally central was the people's response. In His Majesty's address, the year's efforts, sacrifices, and aspirations found their clearest expression, reaffirming that GMC is being built not just with infrastructure, but with trust, unity, and collective resolve. This is Kinzang Haden, PBS News.
In a year shaped by national transformation and global uncertainty, one event stood out for its quiet power and universal message. The Global Peace Prayer Festival became one of Bhutan's most defining moments when faith, compassion, and collective aspiration brought the world together on Bhutanese soil.
At Chanlimetha in Thimphu, devotion filled the air long before dawn. Thousands of people, many arriving as early as 3 in the morning, gathered for the Global Peace Prayer Festival. Presided over by His Holiness the Gelephu, the religious festival marked Bhutan's first assembly of eminent global Buddhist leaders at this scale, an unprecedented convergence of traditions, lineages, and voices united in prayer. Thousands of devotees and over 150 eminent spiritual masters from across the world gathered, transforming Chanlimetha into a living canvas of red, the color of devotion and compassion.
I came here from Chukha at 3 a.m. inspired by the fact that the Global Peace Prayer Festival is being held in Bhutan for the first time. With immense joy, I began my journey early in the morning.
At my age, we never know how much time we have left. I felt I would regret it if I didn't receive blessings from such a sacred ritual, so I came here. Even though I am not literate, just listening to the mantras brings me peace.
I was very happy to be in a big festival for prayer, for world peace. I am very impressed by all the people from around Bhutan coming for prayer, and I think the world need to be helped by prayers, and especially from Bhutan's prayers.
Among the most visually striking and spiritually profound events was the Jabshi Decho ritual at Kunsapodang, presided over by the Doji Lebe of the central monastic body. At its center stood the towering De, 108 feet tall, surrounded by 100 effigies, ritual cakes, tatas, and butter lamps. The ritual, rarely witnessed at this scale, was performed to ward off global adversities such as pandemics, natural disasters, and conflicts among nations. The festival continued with the Kala Chakra empowerment, one of the most sacred Buddhist teachings symbolizing time, compassion, and enlightenment. Thousands received the empowerment, reinforcing Bhutan's role as a spiritual sanctuary in an increasingly unsettled world. The festival culminated in a landmark moment for Buddhist history and women's empowerment. His Holiness the Gelephu conferred full Gelongma ordination on nearly 270 nuns from 14 countries. His Majesty the King, His Majesty the 4th Gelephu, Her Majesty the Gilton, and members of the royal family graced the ceremony, elevating it into an affirmation of royal faith in the power of such spiritual journeys.
Personally, it means I finally get to be a real daughter of the Buddha. I tell all my friends I become an adult nun because it's what the Buddha gave his nuns. They were fully ordained, and I feel like I am becoming like them.
We have been genuinely hoping to get this ordination, and now we feel very lucky to be ordained. Gelongme Dompa is very significant and the highest level of vows for us, nuns. We know that it is a pathway to enlightenment, and it means a lot to get this chance. The ceremony built on Bhutan's earlier efforts in 2022 and reaffirmed the country's leadership in reviving women's ordination globally. The Global Peace Prayer Festival reflected Bhutan's quiet assertion that spirituality remains relevant in addressing modern challenges and that peace begins not with power but with intention. Meanwhile, as prayers for global peace rose from Chanlemetha and sacred rituals unfolded across Thimphu, 2025 witnessed another moment of profound spiritual resonance for Bhutan. In the midst of the Global Peace Prayer Festival, the arrival of the sacred holy Buddha relics from India further deepened the atmosphere of devotion and reflection. Brought to Bhutan on a special flight from Delhi, the relics, bone fragments of Lord Buddha, were received with traditional ceremonies. It also marked a rare and deeply symbolic gesture of spiritual friendship between Bhutan and India. Sringzam, PBS News.
On the economic front, the Wood Female Snake Year was a year of recalibration. From changes in how revenues collected to long-term plans shaping future growth, the year saw the Bhutanese economy adjust, respond and move forward.
As reforms met results through clean energy, rising tourism and new economic strategies, Bhutan's economic story in 2025 was that of transition, resilience and measured confidence.
Replacing the long-standing sales tax system, the Goods and Services Tax introduced a single 5% consumption tax on most goods and services, fundamentally changing how taxation is collected, reported and understood. For the government, it represented a move towards a more modern, transparent and efficient tax framework. For the public, it marked the beginning of a period of adjustment. While most goods and services now fall under GST, essential items such as rice, salt, cooking oil, sanitary napkins and wheelchair, as well as key services like health, education and selected financial services remain exempt. Only businesses with an annual turnover of 5 million Newton and above are required to register and charge GST, while unregistered businesses are prohibited from doing so. Yet, for many Bhutanese, the change also brought uncertainty. Questions about rising costs, consumer burden and how GST affects daily expenses lingered, reflecting the learning curve that accompanies major reforms.
The GST could be a problem for us because in the end we are the consumers who have to pay the tax. I feel that this 5% tax could affect poor people.
Business owners, however, express cautious optimism, pointing to improved transparency, accountability, and clear tracking of income and taxes as long-term benefits. While 2025 marked a major shift in how Bhutan collects revenue through the rollout of Goods and Services Tax, the year also looked further ahead, transforming the foundation of the economy itself. The Duk Holding and Investments Limited and its 25 portfolio companies launched the ambitious 10x roadmap, outlining a vision to transform Bhutan into a high-income, digitally integrated and globally relevant nation by 2035.
A roadmap for us as DHI, as a group, to grow not just the revenue by 10x, but grow in leadership 10x, grow in our mindset 10x, grow in the way we engage 10x, and hence build businesses that thrives, that resonates with the next generation. So it's a very important strategy for us for next 10 years, whether we look at it from hydropower development to solar development to energy in general development to diversifying our economy. I think that's important.
The roadmap signals a strategic shift from reliance on energy and resources to diversification driven by innovation, human capital, and technology. While the plan charted a brighter future for Bhutan, 2025 saw the energy sector deliver results that were already real and visible. One of the Bhutan's most ambitious hydropower ventures reached a long-awaited milestone, marking both progress achieved and challenges endured along the nation's energy journey. With the commissioning of its sixth and final unit, the Punatangchu 2 hydroelectric project began generating electricity at its full capacity of 1,020 megawatts. Integrated fully into the national grid, the project has already generated millions of units of electricity, translating into billions of Newton in revenue. Later in the year, His Majesty the King and the Prime Minister of India formally inaugurated the project in a ceremony that also saw the exchange of key memoranda of understanding in energy and health. The joint inauguration reaffirmed hydropower as the cornerstone of Bhutan-India cooperation and shared prosperity. Yet, 2025 also underscored the sector's vulnerability to nature. Heavy monsoon rains forced a temporary shutdown of Punatangchu 2, resulting in a short-term loss of generation. Operations resumed within days, alongside restoration efforts at other affected plants, highlighting the resilience built into Bhutan's energy system. While clean energy continued to power Bhutan's economy, tourism emerged as another sector, gaining renewed strength in 2025. According to the Annual Tourism Snapshot 2025, Bhutan welcomed nearly 210,000 tourists last year, an increase of more than 44% compared to 2024. Visitors came from 157 countries, reflecting Bhutan's widening global reach. The rise in arrival translated into direct revenue of over 43 million US dollars, nearly 4 billion Newton from the Sustainable Development Fee alone. This was a 49% increase from the previous year, underscoring tourism's growing contribution to the economy.
The revenue is only from the SDF collection. It does not include the money spent on things like food, hotels and airfare. If all of these expenses are calculated, tourism sector is taking the responsibility of contributing to the GDP by 10 to 15%. Tourism sector doesn't mean it's only the government. It benefits the private sector such as hotels, hospitality services and other businesses. It is a sign that all involved are taking their responsibilities seriously.
The emergence of the Gelephu Mindfulness City as a new point of interest, combined with strong international marketing and global exposure, has further boosted Bhutan's appeal. As the country looks to match pre-pandemic arrival levels, 2025 stands out as a year when tourism not only recovered but regained momentum, reinforcing its role as a key pillar of Bhutan's economic journey. This is Sangi Chazom for BBS News.
2025 was a defining year for Bhutan's healthcare system, one where advanced treatment, early detection and life-saving innovations moved decisively closer to home. From cancer care to complex surgeries and pandemic preparedness, last year saw historic firsts which reshaped how Bhutan treated, prevented and responded to disease.
One of the year's most significant milestones came with the opening of the country's first ever multidisciplinary breast clinic in Thimphu. For a disease that remains the third most common cancer among Bhutanese women, the clinic represents hope, bringing diagnosis, treatment, counseling and rehabilitation under one roof. According to national cancer data, 135 women were diagnosed with breast cancer between 2019 and 2022, with cases steadily rising.
This newly opened clinic at JDWNRH will be one-stop center, all under one roof, where diagnosis to treatment are ensured quickly and smoothly.
Equipped with advanced 3D mammography and near-infrared surgical imaging, doctors say detection accuracy has improved by up to 40%, significantly reducing mortality risks. Beyond cancer care, 2025 also marked a breakthrough in cardiac treatment. For the first time in Bhutan, doctors successfully performed a non-invasive heart procedure to close a congenital hole in the heart known as an atrial septal defect without open heart surgery.
I struggled to breathe and felt like my body was swelling. Sometimes I felt that way and other times I was fine. After the procedure, my breathing improved and I have been feeling good ever since.
Doctors say the procedure, done through a small incision in the groin, would have cost patients over 200,000 yutam abroad, but now it is available within the country.
It's a minimal invasive procedure. So we put a mesh, umbrella kind of mesh, into the heart, squeeze it through a pipe, and then deploy it to close the atrial septal defects.
Meanwhile, the National Referral Hospital also crossed a long-standing barrier in orthopedic care, successfully performing Bhutan's first spine-corrective surgery for scoliosis. Previously, patients were sent abroad at a cost of nearly 1 million yutam per case.
I was unable to walk properly. While climbing stairs, I used to have hard time breathing. Before, I used to feel weak and felt like I would lose consciousness.
Doctors said improved equipment and trained human resources have finally made such surgeries possible at home. In another historic first, a team of Bhutanese and German surgeons carried out the country's first toe-to-thumb reconstructive surgery, restoring hand function to a 24-year-old man who lost 3 fingers in a workplace accident.
Accidentally, the planar machine cut off his 3 fingers, and all the distal part of the fingers were crushed at multiple levels, and it was beyond replantation. So in such cases, the best thing that we could offer is the toe transfer.
Alongside treatment, early detection and prevention became a key focus in 2025. The launch of the TV mobile clinic equipped with AI-powered digital X-rays and gene expert systems helped screen hundreds of people. Health officials said the van has transformed tuberculosis detection, especially among high-risk populations, by bringing services directly to communities. Looking beyond immediate care, Bhutan also strengthened its pandemic preparedness by establishing the Bhutan IVI Collaborating Center. It is a regional hub for vaccine research, disease surveillance, and public health training.
Establishment of this IVI center will be very helpful for the country, especially for the prevention of the infectious and vaccine preventable diseases. Say example, now once we have this center, we can do research very easily. We can find out and we can say what kind of vaccines we require and when and where. So if we have to import, then we can do it immediately through the center.
As 2025 ends, these milestones reflect more than medical progress. They signal a healthcare system growing in confidence, capability, and compassion, bringing advanced care home, reducing financial burdens, and saving lives. The year marked not just medical firsts, but a decisive step toward a healthier and more resilient future. Sunampem for BBS News. 2025 marked a major turning point for the education sector. From royal-led reforms and a new holistic learning model to inclusive schooling, global curriculum alignment, and major policy shifts, the year saw decisive moves to reshape how Bhutan educates its children for the future. Here's a look at the key developments that defined the education landscape.
The year 2025 marked a defining moment for education reform in Bhutan, guided by the royal vision and a renewed focus on holistic learning. In Paro, His Majesty the King graced the launch of the Bhutan Baccalaureate at the Druk Gyalpo's Institute in Tumka Dzong. The education model moves beyond exam-centric learning, nurturing students across 5 areas: cerebral, emotional, spiritual, social, and physical. Inspired by the Royal Kasho on education reforms, the Bhutan Baccalaureate prepares learners for both local realities and global opportunities. Already implemented in 23 schools, the program has gained international recognition from institutions including the University of Oxford and the OECD. At the same time, the Druk Gyalpo's Institute also launched the authorized Bhutan Baccalaureate Advanced Placement Curriculum in collaboration with the College Board USA. Royal support for science education was further highlighted through interactions with participants in the South Asia Science Education Program, which brought together teachers from across the region. Likewise, inclusive education took a major step forward with the launch of Yarapling Higher Secondary School, the country's first school dedicated to students recovering from substance use disorder, combining academics with intensive counseling support. Policy reforms gathered pace as the government deferred the Class 10 cutoff point indefinitely, paving the way for a Cambridge-aligned curriculum which will be rolled out for classes 9 and 11 starting this year. Together, these reforms signal a clear shift towards a more compassionate, future-ready, and globally connected education system. This is Dikil Hazum for BBS News.
2025 marked a landmark year for Bhutan's foreign relations, defined by royal diplomacy, deepened bilateral ties, and an expanded form of global presence rooted in shared values and mutual respect.
The year opened with a historic moment in Bhutan-Thailand relations. Their Majesties, the King and Queen of Thailand, undertook their first ever state visit abroad, arriving in Bhutan at the invitation of His Majesty the King. In a special gesture of welcome, Their Majesties, the Druk Gyalpo and Gyaltsen, personally received the Thai royals at the Paro International Airport, setting the tone for a visit rich in symbolism, warmth, and cultural exchange. The 4-day visit featured formal ceremonies at Tashichazong, royal audiences, and a grand welcome program at Tendatan, attended by members of the royal family, students, and Thai nationals living in Bhutan. Shared spiritual heritage was highlighted through joint prayers at Kunsufoda, where sacred relics were displayed and thousands gathered to offer prayers. The visit also showcased practical cooperation with exhibitions on joint royal projects, including rabies control, conservation initiatives, and agricultural innovation, alongside the One Geok, One Product initiative inspired by Thailand's own development model. Diplomatic momentum extended beyond ceremonial ties. In April, Bhutan and Thailand signed a free trade agreement eliminating customs duties on most goods and opening new pathways for trade and economic cooperation. With bilateral trade valued at over $31 million, the agreement signals growing economic confidence between the two nations. Royal diplomacy also reached Southeast Asia with Bhutan's first ever state visit to Vietnam. Their Majesties were warmly received by Vietnam's leadership, reaffirming commitments to cooperation in trade, investment, conservation, and cultural exchange. Leaders in Hanoi welcomed Bhutan's Gelephu Mindfulness City initiative as a pioneering model of values-based development. 2 agreements, including one on civil aviation cooperation, were signed, strengthening future connectivity. 2025 also saw Bhutan expand its diplomatic footprint, establishing formal relations with the Philippines and Qatar, reflecting growing international interest in Bhutan's people-centered development philosophy and multilateral engagement. On the global stage, Bhutan's participation at World Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan, brought international attention to its unique identity. Over 2.3 million visitors explored the Bhutan Pavilion, experiencing the country's culture, values, and vision for a happy and sustainable future. The pavilion's Bronze Award for Theme Development marked a proud moment for Bhutan's global storytelling. Together, Bhutan's foreign relations in 2025 were guided by royal leadership, strengthened by trust, and anchored in shared values on the world stage. Phup Game for BBS News.
Last year, Bhutan made a major leap forward, accelerating its journey towards digital sovereignty, inclusive innovation, and technology-driven growth.
From a blockchain-powered national digital identity and crypto-enabled tourism to smart governance and accessible currency, the country blended tradition with cutting-edge technology.
At the heart of this transformation was the National Digital Identity, NDI. Bhutan took a major step toward digital independence with the successful integration of NDI with the Ethereum blockchain, strengthening security, transparency, and resilience. His Royal Highness Gyaltse Jigme Namgyal Wangchu, the country's first digital citizen, graced the milestone event. Plans are now underway to fully migrate NDI to an Ethereum-based system, positioning Bhutan among the world's pioneers in decentralized digital identity. Digital transformation also reached everyday life through crypto-enabled tourism. Bhutan emerged as one of the world's most crypto-friendly destinations, following a partnership with Binance Pay, allowing visitors to travel across the country using cryptocurrency. Since May, the number of crypto-enabled merchants has grown tenfold, from 100 to over 1,000 businesses. While connectivity challenges remain in some areas, the initiative reflects Bhutan's broader ambition to use technology to boost financial inclusion, support rural livelihoods, and diversify tourism, with Gelephu Mindfulness City envisioned as a digital innovation hub. Another milestone came with the rollout of fourth-generation citizenship identity cards. Integrated with NDI, the new cards feature a high-security bio-crypto QR code, creating a secure bridge between the physical and digital worlds. Designed to work even in offline and low connectivity settings, the cards ensure access to services for rural citizens and those without smartphones, reinforcing Bhutan's people-first approach to digitalization. Innovation also met heritage in 2025. Bhutan entered the global digital art market with the launch of its first cultural NFTs, beginning with an 18th century Shabdung Phensum Tsokpa Thangka. The initiative opened new income streams for artists, promoted youth engagement, and demonstrated how technology can support cultural preservation while expanding global reach. Data-driven governance took a major step forward with the launch of Bhutan's first national spatial data infrastructure. By centralizing accurate geospatial data, the platform aims to prevent costly planning errors, improve land use decisions, and strengthen disaster response, supporting national development and the 10X economic roadmap. Inclusivity remained a defining theme. The Royal Monetary Authority's new polymer banknotes, featuring tactile embossments and braille markings, brought accessibility into everyday transactions for persons with visual impairment. More durable and easier to identify by touch, the notes reflect how innovation in Bhutan is being shaped, not just for efficiency, but for dignity and inclusion. This is Kipchu for BVS News.
The Wood Female Snake Year reminded Bhutan forcefully and repeatedly of nature's power and the urgency to adapt to changing climate. Across southern and western regions, weeks of relentless rain triggered floods and landslides that tested infrastructure, emergency systems, and community resilience.
One of the most dramatic episodes unfolded in Pinseling, where the sudden swelling of the Amochu sent floodwaters through parts of the town. A temporary quarantine facility at Amochu was partially submerged, properties were damaged, and people were stranded as water rose rapidly. Rescue operations began amid challenging conditions. Bad weather initially grounded helicopters, but local responders, supported by the Indian Army and later Druk Air, evacuated stranded individuals to safety.
Quarantine center nalu teme ki mitiso te kara achira ma rescue de su jobe te kara ko tab desalo ten sochi se shunila te le ipji mi shi de chi pa chugi bulu te ko ten masuba lumi de su da chi khamchile ngachira na ma ngachira trugi mami gi be te ma jaga mami lo labbe male helicopter de su me ko ten sochila 되게 딘다들은 같이는나 해마 베들로 같이는나 두비기 헬리콥터 딘달마 조마스로 두기르기 헬리콥터 디 남신데 당내 쇼메블리 데 시마 베들로 날마 헬리콥터 디 푸수 텔레팔리 미치에 데 같이르 두비기 헬리콥터 기 데인스니.
What followed was a moment many described as miraculous. Two security guards stranded on a sandy depot as floodwaters eroded the ground beneath them survived against overwhelming odds.
Jarkin se ko anbe
gargi sit ki cover disu se te dalani duzoni type na duzoni type da thab dis sema to ani boy ra omda ani kachi bena masing achi
tindi chaber joila jone di nali kaslo na thini tribe wala ngasni fast na tel chugi chakwa be matra bias man yeah, why? Sorry, that this rain news. I never changed them.
First time, chica team that the shishis and Verano.
No, Nale Jaigang Gesla, ma'am. Jaigang Halam Matra Hisla. Kachlam Missila Saumi. The Ma Halam Dor Chu Halam Dus, ma'am. Garrett and Chumel, swimming Tommy Joel Bunal, Shingu, Tobelis, well, Shing doesn't. Sada, never Sada Yata Mata Joda, as the Hobra medieval, a Chu Anivi Garrett. And bomb with to the girl. As it Delemal Lamda pa army came Tari Pa Jovala Pajo call time apple. Survey space Hagi Malanse.
And TikTok na the Sonovala life so the family Apagi Shenulan. The TikTok night Western Peace Sushan. You make a job, make a heavy something alone of Apada. Now so Gane Mave ya show ika show silabela ani rimdolo anso peniganes
helicopter ani charo bemilu current chase shunilla
chief sir this na side gisuba by the sugi the azum mavde watching achina to mi bi maheyonga the dasho please deso le machena stop sulu am sim current chase shunilla.
Medical checks later confirmed both men were stable, an outcome that underscored both the risks faced by frontline workers and the importance of timely rescue coordination. Officials noted that existing river protection walls built under the Township Development Project prevented far worse damage to Pinseling's core areas. But Pinseling was only one part of a much wider crisis. Across Chukha, Samtsi, Ha, Dagana, Wantipodra, Paro and Tsirang, Swollen rivers and landslides washed away bridges, damaged homes, blocked roads and cut off communities. In Bongo and Dungna Gyeogs of Chukha, multiple bridges were washed away, isolating Cheogs. Samtsi lost several Bailey and suspension bridges, while Wandipodra reported flash floods, damaged farm roads, and the tragic loss of a man swept away by a stream. In Thimphu, heavy rainfall caused the Dichincholing stream to overflow, cutting off road access and renewing residents' concerns over recurring flood risks. According to national assessments, the scale of damage was extensive. More than 30 bridges were either washed away or severely damaged. 10 roads, including highways and district roads, remained closed at the height of the crisis. Homes, schools, water supply systems, and religious sites were affected. In Paro, protection walls collapsed and irrigation channels were damaged, including near historic structures. In Tagana and Sirang, drinking water sources, houses, fishery ponds, and farmlands suffered losses. Agriculture took a significant hit. Dozens of acres of maize, paddy, and cardamom fields were destroyed, along with orchards. Livestock losses were reported across multiple districts, impacting livelihoods already under pressure. Telecommunication sites were knocked offline, machinery was damaged, and transport vehicles were swept away, highlighting the economic ripple effects of climate-related disasters. Restoration efforts began immediately. Road clearing teams, temporary bridges, helicopter supply drops, and utility restoration became priorities, especially in remote and cut-off areas. By the year's end, many services had been restored, but the message of 2025 remained clear. The disasters of 2025 were not isolated events. They reflected a growing pattern of more intense rainfall, rising rivers, and increasing strain on infrastructure built for a different climate reality. Ishe Gelson, BBS News.
In 2025, Bhutanese sport told a story larger than medals and scorelines. It was a year defined by belief and effort, where athletes stepped onto bigger stages, young talents found their footing, and confidence grew with every contest. Across rings, mats, fields and courts, Bhutanese athletes showed that progress is not always measured by gold alone, but by how far one is willing to go.
The year opened with Bhutanese boxers lighting up the ring at the Four Nations Boxing Championship. Competing across multiple weight categories, Bhutan's fighters delivered intensity, discipline and resilience. Together, they clinched 16 medals, including 7 gold.
I am really happy to have won the match. At first, I wasn't very confident when I stepped into the ring. But as the fight went on, I gained experience and gained courage to keep pushing forward.
To develop our skills, we need to travel abroad and take part in international tournaments and join training camps. It would benefit us greatly. This is my first time participating in this championship and I achieved a good result. Now I have gained the confidence to compete in more international tournaments.
Even in narrow defeats, Bhutanese boxers showed they could stand toe-to-toe with regional opponents, marking steady growth in the sport. That momentum carried on to the judo mats, where Bhutan's under-20 team delivered a strong showing at the BKSP Cup International Judo Championship in Bangladesh. Tenzin Doji claimed gold in the 73+ kg category, while Yishin Yitup and Kinga Nobu secured bronze medals in fiercely contested divisions. For young judokas, the tournament offered not just podium finishes, but also international exposure, an essential step in their competitive growth. At home, Bhutanese athletes made an even stronger statement at the South Asian Bodybuilding and Physics Sports Championship. Competing against nearly 70 athletes from the region, Bhutan won 13 medals, including 6 gold, finishing second overall in the medal tally.
Today I competed in two categories, like in women's swimsuit and in model physique, women's 155 centimeter and above, and in both the categories I got gold medal, and I'm very excited. I didn't expect also.
Meanwhile, Kinzang Chodan won silver and Ishilam took bronze in the women's model physique over 155 centimeter category. 7 countries took part in the championship, giving Bhutanese athletes international exposure and experience to compete globally. Meanwhile, the championship not only showcased physical excellence, but also Bhutan's growing confidence in hosting major regional sporting events. That spirit of hosting extended to tennis, as Bhutan staged its first ever Asia Tennis Federation Under-14 tournament in Thimphu. For young Bhutanese players, the tournament brought international competition home. It offered a rare chance to earn ranking points and confidence without traveling abroad.
I am the first player to compete and win the match. If we have to go outside on our own expense, it is expensive and difficult. ATF has given us this opportunity and I am very happy to win my match.
There's a big difference when we play in our country and outside country, whereas in outside country there will be a lot of visitors, their family will be coming with them, or there will be their own individual friends which will come to cheer them up, and we won't even get used to the courts. But in our country we are already used to our court, and then we also have our families and visitors to come support us, and I think that it will be more comfortable in our country than in others.
Officials said hosting such tournaments locally allows more Bhutanese youth to climb the competitive ladder, broadening the base for future champions. And one of the year's most defining sporting moments came on the cricket field. Bhutan finished runner-up in the Lotus Cup Women's T20 International Tri-Series, reaching the final for the first time in history. Though defeated by Hong Kong, China in the final, the Dragon Girls' journey marked a major milestone.
It's a really proud moment, Lagachbajin. It's the first time we are playing, I would say, it's not the first time, it's second time, but like final, we are reaching in a final for the first time. And I can see the girls are like pretty confident, and day by day and match by match, they are improving. So I'm very happy so that in future, they can contribute more and win for us.
The tournament offered valuable international exposure, reinforcing Bhutan's steady rise in women's cricket. Taken together, 2025 was not just about victories. From young athletes testing themselves against Asia's best, to women breaking new ground on regional stages, Bhutanese sport moved forward with purpose. This is Kipchu for BVS News.
From legislative milestones to cultural breakthroughs, 2025 has been a year of progress, resilience and bold experiments, showing a Bhutan that not only treasures its traditions, but also embraces change.
In the landmark decision, the joint sitting of Parliament raised the legal marriage age for women to 18, aligning it with other national laws. The Marriage Amendment Bill, first introduced in 2024 following a request from the National Commission of Women and Children, passed with 49 votes in favor. Lawmakers highlighted that the change removes ambiguity, protects children's rights, and ensures alignment with international conventions. The rural community also received a boost with the launch of the National Crop and Livestock Insurance Scheme. Marking the 70th birthday of His Majesty the 4th Gelephu, the scheme offers farmers protection against crop failure, pests, and livestock loss. Farmers pay half the insurance premium, with the government subsidizing the rest. 6 commodities, including maize, rice, potatoes, oranges, poultry, and cattle, are covered under the pilot program, with plans to expand further. Government officials stressed that the initiative will strengthen agricultural resilience and safeguard the livelihoods of Bhutan's largest workforce segment.
So nam gilabe mi disudi nurunga randa chika mapale kobe bala
As a farmer, we need to raise cattle and we have a few Jersey cows. Firstly, it is a good initiative by the government, hence we signed up for it. Secondly, this initiative is to boost and empower the lives of farmers who depend on livestock and agriculture for livelihood.
On the family front, Bhutan continues efforts to reverse its declining fertility rate. Under the third child policy, mothers of a third child or more will receive 10,000 Nyutam monthly until the child turns 3. Tax deductions have been increased to support families, while improvements to childcare facilities are underway to help working parents balance career and family.
We will offer a tax deduction of 1,000 Newton for the first child, 1,250 for the second, 5,000 for the third, and 10,000 for each child after that. Parents of children with disabilities will get an annual deduction of 40,000 Newton.
Tax year In the cultural sphere, Bhutan embraced creativity and modern expression. Paro hosted its first ever rock festival, blending local and international talent and introducing electric guitars to a valley known for monasteries and serenity. Meanwhile, the first Bhutan Fashion Week transformed Paro's streets into a runway of heritage and innovation, showcasing designs that fuse tradition with contemporary style. Both events reflected growing confidence in Bhutan's creative industries and ambitions to reach audiences beyond its borders.
This is Kinsang Hadan, BBS News.
Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Year in Review. And as we enter the new year, we carry forward the lessons of 2025, the courage to adapt, the wisdom to reflect, and the hope to build better days.
At the same time, we would like to thank our location partners, JSW School of Law and Dao at Hilltop in Paro for their warm hospitality. And to all our viewers, thank you for joining us and Losa Tashitele.